we're constantly being told our existence doesn't matter. It is
Right.
inconsequential. It is and maligned, like deeply maligned.
Yeah.
We've been told that we have never contributed anything or we aren't contributing anything, even though we've always contributed
Mhm.
to the very fabric of this country and the world. It is hard to combat that narrative as you walk
Right.
through the day.
Right.
I believe speculative fiction at its heart is why my existence is here. It is the ability to imagine a possibility that does not exist. It is the defining factor of what makes my existence possible. I am the descendant of ancestors who did that
Yeah.
every single day for over 400 years.
Yes.
They hoped in utter darkness. They imagined possibilities they would never see.
Yes.
That is the heart of innovation.
Hello, and welcome to Revolutionary Leadership, the bi-weekly podcast that shines a spotlight on the visionary leadership approaches Black women have cultivated for generations, yet are too often overlooked. I'm Dr. Kerry Mitchell Brown, a cultural architect, racial equity strategist, and scholar of organizational change. For more than 20 years, I have helped leaders, organizations, and communities reimagine what's possible when equity and authenticity guide the way. Each episode, we'll dive deep into conversations that illuminate how Black women integrate community care, radical self-prioritization, and collective capacity building into transformative leadership practices. Together, we'll expand what leadership can look like and what liberation through leadership truly means. Because this is where Black women's stories become tomorrow's blueprints. Welcome back to Revolutionary Leadership, where Black women's stories become tomorrow's blueprint. What happens when you trust a vision no one else can see? When you build infrastructure for futures that do not exist yet? When you create platforms not just for yourself, but for entire communities of creators who have been excluded? That's revolutionary leadership. Today's conversation is about imagination as strategy, creativity as infrastructure, and building new systems rather than waiting for old ones to change. This is about seeing what's possible before it's real and then making it tangible. I am sitting down with someone whose journey has inspired me since we first met, Cerece Rennie Murphy. Cerece and I met when she was working as a development executive for one of my consulting clients. But what I did not know initially was that she was already a best-selling author who's been writing and publishing for years, building this entire creative career alongside her nonprofit work. We became friends as she was navigating a major transition, moving from doing her creative work on the side to making it her full-time focus. And she's been one of my biggest supporters as I built Revolutionary Leadership and written my own book. We've talked about our families, our kids, our journeys. We encourage each other through hard moments. And I've watched her fully step into what she's been building all along. In 2010, Cerece had a supernatural vision for her first science fiction story. She trusted what she saw, what no one else could see yet. And that vision launched everything. Since then, she's published 14 books, won a Kate Wellum Solstice Award alongside Octavia Butler, Carl Sagan, and built 3 platforms: Narazu, Virtuous Con, Lions Sky Publishing, that created infrastructure for BIPOC creators in spaces that have historically excluded us. Cerece did not wait for traditional systems to make space. She built new ones. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Cerece, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, dear. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. Before we jump in, what are you drinking on this morning?
Some water, honey, the last dregs of my water bottle for the morning.
Oh, great. Well, I am having some hot tea because it's a little chilly here in these parts. Take me back to 2010. You had a supernatural vision for your first science fiction story, Order of the Seers. What did you see?
I saw a man walking towards me. He had a cataract like film over his eyes and ash blonde hair, even though he was a black man from Tanzania. I knew that he was a seer. I knew that he was enslaved for that ability. He had this sort of chalky film over his skin as well. And I knew that there were people all over the world who were suffering that fate. And I wanted to know how that story would end, and I wouldn't know unless I wrote it.
Ah, nice. You've published 14 books since then. What's the one thing that keeps you creating even when it's hard?
My belief in my characters. Even when I can't get over myself or my self-doubt or whatever's going on in my life, I believe so deeply in the stories that they shared with me, and I feel so blessed to have their story to tell. I deeply believe that a blessing is not complete until it's shared, and so I know that story is not just for me, it's for the people who need to read it.
I love that. So, what's the difference between building a platform and just building a business?
A platform is about amplifying other people's voices. Your business is about you. And both are needed, but one excites me more than the other.
I can see that and hear it. If you could tell younger Cerise back in 2010, when you had that vision, one thing about trusting visions no one else can see, what would it be?
That your vision and your calling is not a conference call. Not everyone is meant to or is able to hold your potential, and that's okay. You need to have discernment so that you don't share with people who really it's none of their business and they can't hold it. But just because no one can see it but you, like, that's not a bad thing. It
Oh.
means you have to be clear and true to your vision.
I love that. Not a conference call. We are going to come back to that for sure. So let's go deeper on this vision. What was it like in the days after? Did you tell people? How did you move from I saw something to I am going to write about this?
God knows just how to get me. So I've been a sci-fi fan since my mom took me to see Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back in the Uptown Theater in DC when I was a little girl. Yoda was my first crush. So I have been a sci-fi fan since then.
All right, Yoda.
There you go. Strong with the force. He could cook.
Yes, yes.
I was very young. I never thought I would be a writer.
Hmm.
I've been an avid reader all my life. I used to, in fact, tell myself, even though I was writing 100-page grants, that I couldn't write anything longer than 5 pages. I used to write poetry.
Mm,
I still write poetry. The idea that I had my own sci-fi idea was just profound. And I remember my husband at the time had just come back from the grocery store, and I was like, "I have an idea for a sci-fi story." And he was like, "I've been gone an hour. Like, what are you talking about?" 'Cause I had never talked about writing my own books. He's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" And I said, "I don't even know if I can write this story, but I'm gonna try."
mm,
Really where it was just I wanted to know how the story would end, and I would
yeah.
know if I did not write it.
So, speaking of those 100-page grants that you wrote, you were already balancing a demanding development career. How did you make space for this creative work?
So, in the beginning, my son at the time of that where I had that vision, my son was 3 and a half, and my daughter was not yet born. So he would go to bed magically at, like, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and I would write from around 8 to 10:30.
Wow. I was an adult most of my college career, a full adult, because I was married with kids. And I used to find really productive study time after they went down. That magical bedtime that they can get them to stick to is really creative time. And so, why wasn't it enough to just write and publish? What made you realize that you needed to build platforms since traditional publishing doors that were closed, like doing all of this while working full time in a nonprofit development?
I think it started with my own experience. After I finished the book and I had published it on a site and people really they got it? No, like I could do this. I started querying traditional agents and what I kept getting back beyond the traditional sort of thank you, but no thank you there was this theme of we think it's well written, but we don't think it'll be commercially successful.
Mm,
I mean, I have a lot of diverse characters in my books,
yes.
and we just don't think this will have an audience. And literally, that was told to me when I decided to go to my first sci-fi convention. People told me there was no audience for my book because Black people didn't read science fiction, white people didn't read Black authors, and no one read science fiction from a woman. That was actually something someone said to me.
Wow.
It's critical to understand I'm the kind of person who the fastest way to get me to do something is to tell me I can't do it.
I
Well,
love that.
obviously, they're wrong on 2 points.
Uh-huh.
I'm a Black woman, I read sci-fi, and yes, I'm a rare flower, but I'm not that rare. You know what I mean? I
Right,
think there are
right.
people. The idea that white people don't read Black authors is A, not true, and B, the assumption behind that is if white people don't read my book, there will be no success, which, of course, is also
Pretty
madness.
bizarre. Right.
And no one reads science fiction from a woman, again, just nonsense.
Mhm.
That was sort of how the idea of advocacy. I am a social worker by training, so advocacy is kinda in
It's
my blood.
it's in your bones, right?
Yeah, it's in my bones. But also just the idea when I went to that first show at New York Comic Con after hearing, the naysayers, I realized I was the only woman selling a book in the small press section in 2012 that she had written. Not the only Black woman, the only woman, period.
Wow.
New York Comic Con at that time was 100 to 150,000 people.
Mhm.
And this is in New York, where N.K. Jemisin lives, where Daniel Jose Older and all these Black speculative fiction writers are. And none of them were at this show.
Wow.
Not because they couldn't take the subway down, but because their publishers did not believe that this was the audience for them.
Ah,
Crazy, craziness. Meanwhile, little old me's there selling over 100 books, and the reason why is because I believed I could do it, and I didn't have anybody to stop me, and that is really the kernel of thinking, "Who else should be here that isn't here? How can I start to empower other people to be in spaces where they're being told that there is no room for them?"
right. And so that's where Lion Sky Publishing was born, right?
Well, Lion Sky Publishing was really me doing my own thing.
Okay.
It was really me creating the business to publish my own books.
Right.
From there, my own experience in doing
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
illuminated the tremendous gap in access and opportunity for other speculative fiction authors of color who were being told this is not the space for you. The other thing that happened is that people would always come up to me and go, "Oh my gosh, you're a Black speculative fiction writer. You're a woman. There's like nobody." And I'm like, "No, no, there are like lots of us." I started printing out this list and it was called Other Authors of Color in Speculative Fiction Besides Me. And every time someone would say that, I would give them
Give
the
them the
list.
list. I love
And
that.
then I would run out. And so I was like, "Oh, I should just put it on my website." And it's there and it still is. But that is really the kernel for what became the idea to develop a platform.
Nice. Let's talk about your platforms, helping your fans find other BIPOC indie creators, and you have a community infrastructure. Tell us about those. What's their name and what problem were you solving?
I was trying to solve the problem of discoverability and just
Mm,
awareness. The defining factors of an indie creator is that nobody knows who you are.
right.
Kind of what it is. And so I was always trying to help people become aware of these amazing independent Black and brown creators.
Hmm.
And so I started with Narazu, which was a newsletter. Every month, we would just feature Black and brown creators who were doing cool things in speculative fiction across film, comics, books, visual arts, whatever it was, so that people would know, like, these people are here and they're doing amazing things.
Right.
Did that for 5 years.
Nice.
Just a free newsletter that anybody could subscribe to where we just featured independent creators.
I love that. And then you building community infrastructure, the Virtuous Con. You had an event at the end of February. How did the February event go? Tell us about Virtuous Con.
Oh, man. So Virtuous Con grew out of Narazu and realized
Hmm.
that while we were building awareness, we weren't building sustainable community
Hmm.
around this problem of discoverability. And so Virtuous Con really came out of like a calling. It was March 21st of 2020. So the pandemic had just things had just started
Started,
to shut
yeah.
down.
Yes.
I was starting my first full-time job in almost a decade. I was starting the first day of homeschooling my kids, and I woke up and I heard this voice, God saying to me, "You should start an online sci-fi convention." And to anybody who's about to be offended, I'll just let you know it's the kind of child of God I am. I was like, "You need to get off the pipe." Literally was my response. I was like, "Are you not seeing my whole life right now?"
Right,
At
right.
that time,
All the transition points. And this.
yeah, and this, I was in the process of understanding that my marriage was ending. Like, all of that was happening that morning.
All right, all right.
It was a process of sort of figuring out what platforms we needed, all of that, but at the same time, we're dealing with the murder of George Floyd and Breonna
Yes,
Taylor, and all
yes.
of these, what I call mad, bad, sad stories about
Mhm.
who we are and the narrative about, "Well, it's okay that you killed this person because even though they're standing on the corner, somehow they're this terrible person."
Right,
And I was like, "Where are the expansive narratives of us in this moment?" And I thought about all the independent creators who were doing amazing work.
right. You have been curating lists and lists and featuring them, so they're at your
And knowing
fingertips.
them
Yes,
throughout
yes.
the years at these conventions and meeting them, being inspired by them. And I thought, "What can I do? What can I do against this terrible narrative of who we are?" Virtuous Con was really the answer to that.
Yes.
And so we launched a beta launch in October of 2020. It was just 15 vendors and 50 people just to like see if it would work.
Yes.
And it was interactive. That's the other thing I was seeing because people were doing online conventions, but they weren't really engaging and interactive.
Mhm.
Okay, if you're an independent, put your link over here and hopefully people will go. Well, again, remember what I said, people don't know who we are.
Right.
If links sold books, we'd all
B
be home.
be
Yeah,
rich, right?
yeah, we'd all be rich. It was interactive. We had a panel. We had people moving from table to table and meeting the artists. And that was really the proof of concept. And we launched it in full in February of 2021. And we've been going ever since. It's an online sci fi convention that celebrates Black and Brown creators in speculative fiction across all mediums. And it's just been such a humbling privilege. Most of our guests, well, almost all of our guests are volunteers. We don't have the money to be paying everybody. What's been amazing about the process is that everyone who's there understands what we're trying to do,
Right.
understands the importance of elevating these voices and letting fans and aspiring artists know that not only can you do this, in fact, we're already doing this.
Right.
Might not have ever heard of this person, but we're going to let you know today that we are in all the spaces, doing all the things
All
and
the
doing
things.
well.
That is so powerful. What's the highlight of the 2026 Virtuous Con?
I've been working to get Aldous Hodge to come to Virtuous Con. For those who don't know, that's Alex Cross. He plays Alex Cross and has played a
Uh-huh.
number of the fixture roles. I've been trying to get Aldous Hodge to Virtuous Con for 3 years. And this
Yes.
year, him and his business partner, Philip Bote, came to Virtuous Con and talked about this 9B collective of artists that they're creating
Yes.
to nurture the next generation of Black and Brown creators and representation in all aspects of the industry. That was really cool. And I got to hear Anika Noni Rose read from her book live. It was just wonderful just to see the reaction of the people in the audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really beautiful. I knew she was going to read it, but I didn't know she was going to perform it. Although I should figure that out. That was really cool. And meeting people who have been to the event afterwards.
I can still hear the excitement in your voice and see the joy on your face that this was impactful and it was creating that alternate infrastructure for the geniuses that need it and required it in order to thrive. So, creating something for other people and not just yourself. Now, that, ma'am, is revolutionary leadership. Love it, love it, love it. So, you said sci fi is a genre about possibilities. And that before you can change something, you first have to be able to imagine what doesn't exist. Talk to me about that.
In a world where we are constantly, we as Black people, I'm going to be really specific, and brown people, but I'm going to specifically speak,
Yeah.
to the Black experience in this country, we're constantly being told our existence doesn't matter. It is
Right.
inconsequential. It is and maligned, like deeply maligned.
Yeah.
We've been told that we have never contributed anything or we aren't contributing anything, even though we've always contributed
Mhm.
to the very fabric of this country and the world. It is hard to combat that narrative as you walk
Right.
through the day.
Right.
I believe speculative fiction at its heart is why my existence is here. It is the ability to imagine a possibility that does not exist. It is the defining factor of what makes my existence possible. I am the descendant of ancestors who did that
Yeah.
every single day for over 400 years.
Yes.
They hoped in utter darkness. They imagined possibilities they would never see.
Yes.
That is the heart of innovation.
Mhm.
It is the heart and it is the fabric of our existence as Black people in this country.
It absolutely is. I remember you saying to me that we are innovators by necessity. We are the
That
source
is
codes.
correct.
Yes. Imagination trains leaders to build futures.
Absolutely. And that's why, in a world where hopelessness is such a powerful tool of destruction.
Absolutely. The whole thing about being told to be realistic, like, this is how structures are, just be realistic versus seeing what doesn't exist yet.
That's why it's so important that they kill your hope.
Mhm.
Because if you do
Yes.
not hope for something, you will not try to imagine what it might be.
Right.
And we are
Right.
creators.
We
We are
are
creators.
creators. We are creators.
First with our thoughts. That is why the mind is the most powerful thing to control first.
Right.
And everybody needs to understand that. And that is exactly where speculative fiction sits.
Yes.
Imagining a world that is different, better, more expansive than the one you have today. And I cannot think of it who need that more than Black
Right.
and brown creators. And the fact that they are doing that despite the mad, bad narrative that surrounds us is why it's
Right.
important that those messages and those stories get out because we are a story believing people. Where we are right now is based on the story that we tell ourselves.
Based on the stories. Yes.
It's based on the story we tell ourselves.
So, systems that weren't built for us, do we need their validation?
Absolutely not. Understand that those systems are built to invalidate us.
Right.
At the same time that we are the validators. Like, at the
Right.
very same time, I mean, the mind job is profound.
Mhm.
We set trends, we innovate on
Right.
every level. Like,
Every
if you give us
level
an inch, we take a mile in every opportunity.
will make it better.
That's
Right.
right. We work it to the nth degree, anything that we get an opportunity to do. So the idea that, first of all, we are not the origin of validation is profoundly inaccurate.
Absolutely.
We need someone to validate the thing we are innovating on. Make that make
Makes
sense.
sense. Yes.
You are making the thing. You are pushing boundaries because you have to.
Because you have to, because you're not waiting for validation.
Because the container that people put you in is always gonna be too small. Always.
Right. Right.
Especially if you're a woman.
Especially if you're a Black woman. Come
And
on.
then most
Come on.
especially if you are a
Yes.
Black woman.
Right.
So you are always pushing boundaries just because that's how you get through the day. What they call innovation, we call moving through the day.
Right.
And that's one of the things I love about your book. So often it's easy to dismiss our
Yes.
innovation as like,
Yes.
"Well, girl, I'm just making it." And your
Right.
book breaks down how
Right.
revolutionary that making
Make sure.
actually is. And
Yes. Yes.
so
Yes.
by definition, you are the validator
Right.
because you are the first, because you have to be.
You have to be.
You have to be in anything we're doing.
I'm so, so glad you said that. And I'm excited for the rest of the world to have the opportunity to read the book out August the 4th. And so, very, very exciting. So, you have these amazing platforms. What's the work that we have to do so that we don't replicate the same exclusions or become the validators of other creators' work?
I think it's about humility,
Mm.
recognizing that you're opening a space.
Mhm.
The question is, how do you open a space, not
Right.
close it? Because it's
Right.
not my job to tell some fan that comes to the site, "You should read this book or not that book."
Yeah.
Discovery is about possibilities. They see all that is available, and then they choose what's right for them.
Yeah.
And the more variety they have, the more they'll be able to find
Their
things.
space.
So I'd say that's the first, having the humility to first of all understand it's not about you and what you think necessarily. Because there are a lot of things we feature at Virtuous Con that I'm personally not into. I never
Mhm.
watch anime, but lots of people in the fandom watch anime. This is not about me
It's not about you,
at all.
right.
I mean, that's the beauty of building a platform. So there's having that humility and asking the question, how am I opening doors?
Yes.
Thing we're about to do gonna open a door or is it gonna
Mhm.
close a door? We already have enough closed doors.
Already have too many closed
Yeah.
doors. Yes. I love that. I want to talk a little bit about being recognized alongside Octavia Butler and others with the Kate Wellum Solstice Award. What did that mean to you?
Like, before I answer that, I also wanna add one other thing to your other que
Yeah.
a team. Having a
Oh,
team of people with diverse interests and
right.
the ability to tell you when your stuff stinks is
Right.
it helps to keep you
To be
humble.
honest.
It helps
Helps
to
to
go
keep
back to
you
person.
honest, right?
Yeah, and keep
Yes.
you
Yes.
honest. Oh, man. Okay, so the first thing it meant to me was that I was seen.
Mm.
I do what I do because I believe in it.
Mhm.
And sometimes people see that and sometimes people don't.
Right.
But I'm committed to answering the call of my life and my purpose. And so the first thing is like, I'm just doing this thing over here. I hope it matters. I want it to make a difference. But like, I don't know if anyone's seeing this or thinking the same thing I'm thinking. And just because they might not, that's not a reason not to answer my call. That's the thing.
Right. Your call is your call.
Right, and so the first thing was just like, "Oh, wow, like, somebody is seeing what I'm doing. It matters in this community." And the next thing is it's just like, I'm still wrapping my mind around being even
Yeah.
any kind of same sentence with Octavia Butler or Carl
Right.
Sagan and all these amazing people. But it does remind me that I gotta keep going.
You gotta keep going. Said it's bigger than you. Someone
Yeah.
called you to do this and you are living the dream. So, so exciting. So, this podcast is called Revolutionary Leadership, and the whole premise is turning Black women's stories into blueprints others can use. So, let me ask you directly, if you were sitting down with a Black woman who's trying to build alternative infrastructure in her field, whether that is tech, academia, business, whatever it is, what are the 2 to 3 principles you share from your experience?
Believe in your like I said, believe in your characters earlier. Believe in your vision.
Trusting the vision.
Trusting your vision and trusting that you have been given the vision.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. In fact, if you're doing everything yourself, it's probably not big enough
Right.
because the platform requires help.
Right. I love that. I love that. And working on something creative and also just living, what is that integration like? So, current work and life integration. How do you navigate all of that?
It's hard.
Mm,
I'm not gonna pretend it's not. One thing I learned from, just producing Virtuous Con this past February was to ask for help early and often. Like, that's a
yes.
big theme for me. When I've worked myself to, the bone and it's still not moving forward, that's always like, "Have you asked for help? Have you like, who else can help you?"
Hmm.
And I think for me okay, so the question of, like, balance, how am I doing all of these things? Some days well and some days poorly.
Yeah.
I think knowing that you've done your best
Hmm.
and understanding that working yourself to the edge of exhaustion does not serve you
Or anybody.
or
Yes.
anyone. Like, you're not at your best. Like,
Not
understand
at your best.
working
Yes.
yourself to exhaustion is by definition not your best. And so I think as a Black woman, the idea that, we should be doing all the things and we can do all the things is woven into us fairly early.
That's right.
I would argue that to balance that is to wind that back, to
Yes.
understand that Your best is enough.
Hmm.
And that's not to say that it's all that is needed, but your best is enough.
Right.
And when your body is telling you, I need a break, listen. I am designed to override that. I need to
Yes.
use the bathroom, I hold it another hour so I can finish
Right.
this thing. I need to take a nap. No, and I push past all the time. So much of our lives is about that. But to create something expansive, you must guard your creative space. And
Yes.
your creative space is never an exhaustion. It's just not. So many times I will try to push past the nap and my body, who is just definitely an attitude, like she's a whole other person for me. And she's like, I said what I said. So if you don't, in the next 15 minutes, we about to get the flu. We but like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
told you that I am tired. I will go take a nap, and the problem that could not be solved with an hour nap, suddenly I wake up and it's solved in 20 minutes.
I love that. Rest and restoration. Yes.
In restoration,
Listening to it.
that
Yes.
is your as zone of genius, but that's a thing. So you have to protect that. You have to protect it with good food. You have to
Hmm.
protect it with rest.
Yes.
You are what is needed. You may not be the only person, but you're the one driving the ship. You wanna be asleep at the wheel? No, you do not.
No, you do not. There are casualties. So paying attention to the early warning signs is what you're saying. My research has been on this premise. As Black women, can we do it all or do we just lose time? And I had always been curious about that for someone who married young, who had children young. And my research proved that we can, but just not at the same time and not alone.
That's right. All things cannot be true at the same time. You can have it,
Yeah.
but not at all at the same time.
And so, what does revolutionary leadership mean to you?
Revolutionary leadership is holding a vision that may not be validated by others, but is validated by truth.
I love that. And what blueprint are you leaving for the next generation of Black women creators?
I want to be the ladder. I wanna be a rung on the ladder. I'm standing on other shoulders, and my greatest hope is that my shoulders and what the brick that I've laid on this incredible legacy of excellence is that I will be strong enough so someone can stand on my shoulders.
I love that. So, Cerise, thank you for trusting that vision in 2010. Thank you for building these communities, these platforms, the newsletter, the Virtuous Con, the Lion Sky Publishing. Thank you for the 14 books and for creating infrastructure that will outlast all of us. And thank you for supporting me as I've built revolutionary leadership and stepped into my own author's journey and creativity. This conversation has been a gift. So please tell me, how can people find you?
Oh gosh, the easiest thing is probably to go to my website. It's CereceRennieMurphy.com. I have my books, I have links to Virtuous Con, like all the things. Or you
Oh,
can
wonderful.
directly to virtuouscon.com if you're interested in that. Yeah.
That's great. So we'll have that in all of our show notes. For leaders, what vision do you have that no one else can see? What would it take to trust it and start building? For creators, identify one platform, one system, or infrastructure your community needs that doesn't exist yet. What's the first step to building it? For organizations, are you creating space for alternative visions or requiring conformity to existing systems? How can you support leaders to build new infrastructure? And for everyone, support Black creators building platforms and infrastructure. Follow Cerise, check out her website, sign up for Virtuous Con 2027, and read her work. Platform building requires community. All links are in the show notes. What Cerise reminds us is that revolutionary leadership requires imagination. Before we can build new systems, we have to see them. Before we can create alternative infrastructure, we have to trust visions others can't see. Cerise didn't wait for traditional publishing to make space for her. She built it. She didn't wait for platforms to center BIPOC creators. She built it. She didn't wait for conventions to celebrate Black excellence in sci fi. She built it. The future isn't something we wait for, it's something we design. And Black women have always been the architects. I want to hear from you. Connect with me on social media at Revolutionary Lead and visit revolutionarylead.com. Tell me, what visions are you building, what infrastructure your community needs, and what's working for you as you create alternative systems. Let's build tomorrow's blueprint together. And now for my favorite part of the show. This is where women share their experience with my teachings.
Hi, I'm Olivia Denton Thomas, the brand counselor behind Wintentional Development Co. So when founders are ready to root their business in their value and values, I help them integrate their identity, cultural intuition, and meaning making into the systems of their business. And my relationship with Kerry began when we partnered on her rebrand, bringing the KMB consultancy to its next iteration. I helped her bring her absolutely fabulous self to the surface so that she can uniquely solve cultural issues that impact everything, knowing that when you solve for Black women, you elevate the entire organization. It was a pleasure to help her shape her own company culture around her unique expertise and experiences. And I'd like to say that I was personally deeply advantaged by having Kerry in my corner. She is a client that I know will take the work very seriously, of course, and activate something extraordinary like she is. But she's also grown to be a friend who has helped me understand so many different facets of my own personal journey. So while I brought the brand challenge, she engaged me in thinking differently about how I integrate my changing life, especially as the mother and bonus mother of a couple of rising freshmen at the time. Selfishly, I would say that we formed our relationship at a really just pivotal, timely space for me, and I'm beyond grateful. Because of our relationship, she created a space that I like to call provocative peer pressure. She asked questions that burrow beyond the surface of deliverables into understanding of how and where talents are best used and what skills need to be developed to be an asset to your personal roles, of course, but also to avoid burnout. I think that is huge, and to live a full and flourishing life. So I get to be driven forward knowing that on the other side of every stride, not only is there growth, but there's celebration and affirmation. Recognizing each achievement, we get to celebrate the ways we care for ourselves, which I think is huge, and also what's really good about each other while we build the future. So one of the things I really value about our relationship is that there are few greater joys than building next to people that you know are going to change the world. It's like you're on this secret mission that the rest of the world really doesn't know about, and you're kind of waiting for them to wake up one day and uncover the truth. The beauty of working with someone like Kerry is that her calling and company are here to broaden what's possible for women as they move through their careers, and she helps the companies that they work for to become a better space for them to occupy. That makes it possible for that company to grow and change. She sees the piece that many are missing, and she's making strides to fill that gap. She's operating in her own category, and it's going to be huge. And it's something that's going to bridge the theories of culture and community. I feel like we talk about culture and community a lot theoretically, but these are spaces she's been in varying capacities in companies. So she carries so much integrated knowledge on the ways that companies can not only grow, but maintain their most important relationships with their employees. So the value that I have with her is being inspired, watching someone so profoundly important as she unfolds. She is doing amazing things already, and she's getting ready to do even more amazing things. And I'm excited to see the world get touched by her. So I'm inspired, and I am challenged every single time that we speak. Kerry is truly special. Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for sharing your brilliance, your compassion, and your commitment to Black women, leading with power, ease, and strategy. Thank you for listening to Revolutionary Leadership. If today's conversation sparked something in you, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and share this episode with another change maker in your life. Until next time, keep leading with purpose, joy, and revolution.